Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to this morning's joint. I'm very pleased to have Roberto Mazniec also co-presenting today's event. Welcome. I can see you're all coming in. Today's webinar is about consumer behavior in a post-pandemic economy. And as we are now hopeful that we can see the end of they will not come back, and we will not have third, fourth or fifth waves of this rather unpleasant pandemic. I hope we can look back into what has been described as a post-pandemic boom. Now, our speakers today are Al Kamara and Razvan Butukaru. I will just post in the chat box the link to the page on the Chamber's website where you can find details of our speakers. Roberto, it's good to see you. Would you like to carry on from here?
I mean, very briefly, just to frame it a little bit, the fact that I'm very pleased, first of all, and I really thankful to you, Neil, and your team for having invited us to join forces for this webinar. That, as Anna was saying, will then be posted. And in our experience, many people then access the webinars when their agenda allows, because we then get feedback. So I think it's a good initiative, and I'm happy to see that people, as we speak, the number of people keep growing. The fact that consumer behavior changed over the last 18 months is a fact. It's in everybody's in front of everybody's eyes, and it's not only something changed on how we buy and how we purchase, but also what we purchase. And certain industry we've seen that had a real tough time. Certain other industries are registering a pretty good period, actually, in their scale. Now, the question I ingenuously put myself is the how and the what. Is it something sustainable for the future? We'll go back to the old system of what we buy and how we buy it, or we will maintain this pattern, or we'll go towards a hybrid situation. And that's the same logic. I could make exactly the same introductory remarks if we talk about the way we work. Will we go back to the same way we worked before, or to a hybrid system? I confess it's a little bit of a loaded question, because I formed a view on how we will move about it, but I will not disclose it simply because I don't want to have any influence on people that is far more qualified than me to address the matter. Al and Razvan Butukaru, which is a board member in our chamber, then will address the matter definitely more competently. So without any further ado, and repeating my apologies for having to leave in 40 minutes or so, I would thank you again for the invitation. Thanks also, Giovanni, for having worked with your team to organize this. Thanks a lot, Neil.
Thank you very much, Roberto. Can I just say, although you won't be able to stay, unfortunately, we hope everyone else will stay, because after the presentations, there will be breakout rooms and networking between everyone here. So please do stay for that. We'll have a chance to speak, I hope, to the speakers today, and I can see also James is here from my board on the BRCC. So insofar as we're all here together, let's make the most of the morning. So, gentlemen, who'd like to start the presentation?
So, good morning, everyone. I think I will start the session of the presentations. Thank you for the invitation, and it's very nice to see friendly faces, and especially James. Hi, James. Long time no see. Very nice to see you again. Thank you for organizing this. As Roberto has mentioned, I guess we are now on a verge of changes, to see how we move forward. Are we going to go back to old models? Are we going to change? Are we going to have different systems? And basically, this is what I will try to capture in my presentation. Just a second to be able to put it on the screen. I hope everyone sees it. Okay. I'll base my conclusions or my thoughts on some studies that Mazars has done globally in order to capture these changes. And most specifically, I will focus on artificial intelligence, a topic which I guess has been long debated. It will continue to be something very important for companies, for consumers, and the perspective of how artificial intelligence can or cannot help us improve customer experience and where to. Earlier this year, we have done a study regarding artificial intelligence and how this affects on how it is adopted by the companies, how it is perceived by the board members, how it is perceived by the companies, and most important, is it useful and where is it useful to? This is a very important aspect because captures the pandemic period, has a forward-looking to see, okay, what can change in the future, and can give us some very good ideas on new trends and on new business models. So to the question, or where do we perceive the opportunities from applying artificial intelligence to the business? Except for some areas where we usually, automation is seen as being more helpful, like increased efficiency or productivity, where we still have a 75% rate of response of positive aspects or reduced cost. We have improved customer relationships with about 53.4% of our respondents saying artificial intelligence will help them or helps them in having these opportunities and improve customer relationships, and immediately the equality with revenue growth, which we'll see going forward that it's kind of they are quite linked. By artificial intelligence, we should not think of something like on the streets or speaking we are a long way until there, but we're speaking of a whole range of applications, from chatbots to data analytic tools, machine learning tools, which try to a certain extent to, based on some algorithms, to mimic or the human behavior, and to various degrees. They have been and will be developed and implemented by the companies. This process of adopting the new technologies, digitalization, artificial intelligence, so all this universe, according to our research, has increased during the pandemic period, with 54% of our respondents to the study saying they already accelerated adoption of plans for future implementation of artificial intelligence, which is kind of I think it's a trend which can be noticed on everyday life by all of us. We are using technology more and more to communicate. We are now having an online conference. Usually, probably to have been in a room with the physical presence, but we are doing it online. So this is again a sign of change. And this is again confirmed by our study, and probably it will continue in the following period. In terms of areas where an organization intends to apply artificial intelligence, again, we see customer services which is at the top of the preferences, with 48% of the respondents saying this is an area where they consider artificial intelligence, digitalization to be most useful for their organization, which is kind of good, and it reflects basically the connection, if you want, between expected increase in revenues and customer experience. Because increase in revenues, as I mentioned, 53% of our respondents named increase in revenues one of their advantages of artificial intelligence, can be linked to productivity, increased productivity, efficiency in costs, which we saw there is great expectations in those areas as well, but very important in customer experience. So they seem to be more and more connected, and ultimately, I think this is the drive between improved customer experience. The ultimate result is increased revenues for the companies. A link which is kind of can be seen from our study. Other important conclusions that emerge from our survey is that a significant number of respondents, they see artificial intelligence impacting their company's ability to innovate, as well as improve service delivery. Very important, because we are living in a world where customers are going to see they want to be better served. They want to get their products in a efficient way as possible, and we are in times where innovation is key, and customers, they expect this from the product. As a conclusion from our study is that, again, artificial intelligence, digital technologies will continue to grow, to play a significant role in the development of the companies. And the recent, unfortunately still ongoing pandemic period, but hopefully not for long, accelerated this adoption and the openness of the board of the companies, of the top management, of the organization in itself to adopt these technologies. Going forward, I'll try to capture some sectors where this artificial intelligence proved to be useful, or where we see more openness in terms of this artificial intelligence through the perspective of a customer experience. So the first one would be the hotel industry, where smart hotels using all kinds of applications, of tools, which can be labeled as artificial intelligence, have risen during last period of time, as shown by one of our study from last year. And of course, we're not speaking about still robots welcoming us, or having a discussion with us over the table, but we are discussing about a range of technologies which improve customer experience, from, I don't know, customized entertainment, from virtual reality smart rooms, going to a customized hoteling preferences based on the machine learning and data analysis of the tourists' preferences, using social media, using prior experience, all other available data, which all of them, they try to make the customer feel more comfortable, to be more efficient in terms, I know, check-in, check-out, more open to align and make it more flexible, the experience, the accommodation experience to the customer. And of course, there is the predictability part, where again artificial intelligence can be used not to predict periods of high usage, of which can and was a problem in the past, but hopefully through this attentive planning and machine learning can make it more efficient in the future. Another industry which is benefiting and will continue to benefit of this new technology is the luxury industry. Again, something which is and was always related to customer experience, because for luxury products, a customer does not buy only the product, but actually buys an experience. So buys a relationship, buys an exclusivity, buys in the end an experience. And all the companies or the brands which are pivoting around the luxury industry, they are considering technology in improving their customer relationships, improving their experiences, and as well on what we call on the supply chain, because using different fabrics, different technologies which allow a more efficient, a more green product is something which is directly into technology, and is something which is looked into by the luxury industry, as we're going to see, driven by the basically by the expectations of the customers in the end. So if we were to classify the luxury customer experience, so how it is split, so we believe there are three main areas. One of them is functional, is related to how you get in contact with your details on your product, how you can evaluate them, how you can access them. And here we have a range of technologies, from chatbots to radio frequency identification, to speed up and smooth the customer journey. We have an emotional area growing, very important, and this is something which is expected by the customers who buy a luxury product, to have an emotional experience. And this is done through, I don't know, creating all kind of virtual reality rooms, being able to, as we're going to see, select, the customize your products towards your emotional needs, having some live experience in the concept stores, which again augment this emotional area, and of course makes you buy the product. And there is another area which is the relational one, very important in the luxury industry, which is also and is facilitated by technology in terms of how you reach to your clients, how you connect with them on social media, how you keep communities close to your brand. As I mentioned, all these, I think all these changes are in the end driven by the customers. Specifically for the luxury industry, there is a term which emerged lately, which is called HENRY, high earners, not rich yet. So it's an area of customers, young customers, which have millennials and Generation X customers with high income per year, which expect more from their products, which expect more from their from the companies. Basically, if we expect more from this journey of buying stuff, and they want to feel special, they want to feel that they're privileged, they want to have experiences, not merely a simple product. And this is offered by various brands. I list here just a few of the examples. For example, Gucci, they have a concept store in New York, where basically they have 3D screening rooms. They have augmented reality, which helps you customize the products, visualize the process in a very digital way. And again, this is gets closer to this kind of new customer way. We have Prada, which makes from their dressing rooms very easy, to try based on the labeling to read available colors, size, complementary items. Makes this, which is sometimes very very difficult not to when you are in the changing room to ask, do you have that, do you have that, have that color, is it this number available? Well, this can be solved by technologies, and this is, for example, something which is tried by Prada. We have Hublot, which is trying for their store in New York to set up appointments anywhere in the world. It's online appointments, and the associate, your customer experience guy, takes care of your preferences, makes videos, make presentations. They customize it for you, just for the customer to be able not to have a smarter choice. And of course, we have all kind of online applications. Yux Mirroring is one of them, which is dedicated to luxury brands, and which now they're able to create an avatar which you can dress to your needs, to your size. Basically, make it more easier to shop online. I guess the overall conclusion is that the COVID-19 period has accelerated the adoption of technology. To a certain extent, has changed or has raised the expectations of the customers in terms of technology and in terms of what the products can offer. And again, ranging from customer experience to the supply chain, very important, to the sustainability part of a product. And probably it will continue. It's hard to believe that the investments that were done or the trends, they will be reversed in 180 degrees. So probably it will continue. For some industries, maybe in a hybrid mode. For some of them, they'll go fully on this automated and augmented reality, artificial intelligence path. So we're going to see how it's going to unveil going forward. This was my presentation I hope I made the 10-15 minutes that I was allocated. And I pass the floor to my colleague Al, which he has also a very interesting presentation on complementing the ideas from what I have just presented. Al, you have the floor.
Thank you, Rizwan. Thank you. Let me try to get my presentation up. I'm happy to be here. Thanks everyone for having me. When I got the invitation from Madalena, I didn't know what to present. And then I started to do some research online to see what has been happening since the pandemic started. I would have liked to have had a presentation that didn't talk about the post-pandemic, but I realized that we are still in it, and almost everything around us is evolving around this pandemic. A term that I discovered, which relates to the post-pandemic, is low-touch economy. This term was developed by the Board of Innovation, a strategy and business design firm. Basically, what they try to bring to light is the way businesses across the globe had to adapt in order for them to make it to the other side either better or stronger due to the strict policies. But then I said, okay, if businesses had to adapt, we as consumers, we also had to adapt due to these strict policies. And we saw that we were forced to have low-touch interactions. We saw that we were forced to have limited gatherings, travel restriction, and many other aspects of our lives change at the outburst of the COVID. And all of these restrictions impacted the way consumers behave. And some of the behaviors that we saw, and this is, I think, it has been talked about so much, is the shift to online shopping. We have seen that consumers accepted the fact that they had to buy grocery online, something that was not happening before the pandemic. We saw that consumers were begin to buy basically all of their essential needs online. Staying indoors was one of the cause of consumers having to increase their shopping or their shopping in online behavior. Despite all of this, we also realize that with the shift to online shopping, we as consumers discovered that we could have breakfast delivered out of our doorstep without being in a luxury hotel. We discovered that we could have dinner served out of our doorsteps without being in a luxury hotel. At the same time, in terms of businesses, we discovered that we could have meetings across continents without the need to travel. So yes, we may have, some of us in this call probably may have lost a friend, a loved one, or a family member. But the shift in online, as Rizwan was saying earlier, he talked about artificial intelligence, somehow impacted our behavior as consumers. We saw many of our gatherings online allowing us to bring relatives that we wouldn't have normally seen during Christmas dinners. We all accepted that engaging online was normal during the pandemic. We all accepted that there were benefits in shifting to online. But then my question that I asked when I came across these data, why during the pandemic? Was it just because of the pandemic? Well, I strongly believe that the shift to online has always been a demand by consumers. Because when we are identifying a customer problem, we don't always look at the real problem. In terms of businesses, we sometimes look at what we want to offer them. But from my personal experience, I think this customer problem was a burning one, was a hair-firing need that consumer has always had. All good in terms of online or online purchases by consumer. All good in terms of businesses having to move meetings into Zoom and being able to have several meetings across continents without the expenses of traveling. Even lately, there was a team building by a very large IT company across, I think, 3 continents or so, in order to have the experience of that face-to-face meeting. They actually created gimmicks that were delivered to all the participants across all of their offices around the world. and they had special catering services that would deliver to all the employees with the labor of the labor of the tagging of the team building concept. So was this something that could not have happened before the pandemic? I think not. I think could have happened. But all good in terms of consumers or trends. But what happens to businesses that weren't prepared to make this shift? And I'm not into statistics. I don't have a research background, but then I came across this graph. And what I noticed is for brick and mortar, the impact was huge in terms of losses in shopping. And I brought this I want to spend a little bit of time discussing around the impact the shift to online had in terms of in-store or shopping. Looking at the numbers, 10%, drugstores, 14%, in-store at convenience level, 15%. All of this impacted on businesses like mine. Why? Because my business as an advertising agency mostly deliver services within the hypermarket retail sector. So when the pandemic started, we weren't ready. We had no solutions in order for us to cope with such a huge change. March of 2020, we had budgets of plus million euros for the next quarter. And 70 or 75% of that budget disappeared, which until today hasn't yet returned. So although we look at consumer behavior in the boom in online, but there was also an area that wasn't ready yet to adopt. And the question now is what to expect. So what I did was I went further and said, okay, how are consumers thinking now? Although the pandemic is not yet over, but we hope this will be over. And the data that I found was that 71% of consumers expect to return, to their normal pre-pandemic purchasing, which is good news, because if the brands that they couldn't find online, they had to somehow substitute those brands. So if they have decided that they will return to buying the same brands they bought before the pandemic, that's good news for those brands that actually lost out on sales. Another good news is that 64% of consumers said that they will go back to purchase the same purchasing channels that they visited before the outbreak. So this is another good news. But if we go further, we will also see that there is 28% of our consumers that are now spending online, which is a huge percentage, including consumers with high level of income and also in a high level educated groups. My concern looking at this data is what's going to happen is e-commerce going to continue blooming? Is e-commerce going to replace brick and mortar? Well, it is a question that concerns me. It is a question that I think for some of us who have our businesses or operating in a brick and mortar format should strongly ask ourselves today, what can we do starting from today to also innovate? And yeah, percentage of consumers who agree to this question that e-commerce is going to replace offline shopping is huge, 28%, 28.8%. But if we look at the graph, if we go further down and look at the percentage, yes, 3.3 of the respondents said that they strongly disagree with the idea that e-commerce is going to replace traditional offline FMCG shopping. So this is my concern here. Why is e-commerce going to replace offline shopping? Because consumer has discovered the comfort of being at their offices and shopping online. Consumer has discovered that their hair firing needs did exist before the pandemic. We don't have time. We as consumers, we don't have sufficient time to meet all of our tasks within 24 hours. So basically, we always had these needs. We always had an issue of maybe, let's say, a mom having 2 kids, looking after her kids and going to work, and also being able to shop, being able to sit with our children and educate them. So the strength that e-commerce has gained, my concern is they are going to continue to grow because the needs by consumers to save time has always been there. Now that we as consumers has discovered that we can have breakfast in bed at our doorsteps, we can have dinner at our doorstep delivered, we can do our shopping while at our office, I don't think we are going to go back to the pre-pandemic shopping behavior. And this brought a challenge to my business. And I'm not here to pitch, but my business having to be impacted, I was forced to think, what next? I also discovered that the need for consumers to be served within their homes is going to continue. So what we did during this period, we went ahead and developed a website through which brands can reach consumers within the safety of their homes. Because we realized that consumers want to continue to sample their favorite products. We realized that word of mouth marketing became stronger. Word of mouth marketing means the fact that we use recommendations, we read reviews, we look at ratings by other consumers about a product. And when the reviews and the ratings, or even an article written by a consumer about a brand, within the group of that consumers, the purchasing power, the purchasing desire of that brand increases. And during the pandemic, consumers shopping online in a very high percentage were looking at reviews about brands, and we're looking at ratings that were left by other consumers. So our platform offers all of these benefits to the brands, but without putting the life of a consumer in harm's way. Realizing that this is the way forward, my question to all of you is, what are you doing today for your business? Looking at the consumer trends that are so visible these days. I'm not going to go through the presentation, but again, what we try to do is to adapt to the changing consumer trends, needs, and behaviors. besides offering consumers their favorite brands within the comfort of their homes, we also deliver curated content that brand can create and share it to consumers that are within their target groups. The platform offers demographics information, level of incomes, and shopping patterns, and also or favorite brands. So basically, we were forced to move towards online during this period. Why didn't I think of it in the past? Well, I'm going to leave that question to you for those of you who have businesses that were also impacted by the pandemic. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. This is my presentation.
Thank you very much indeed, gentlemen. Most interesting. I'm now going to ask my colleagues Anna and Stefan to please organize the breakout rooms.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you again to our speakers for the very informative presentations they had. It was indeed very useful for everyone. Indeed, we're going to have a short networking session. We'll have 4 breakout rooms where all of us will be distributed automatically by Zoom. And each room will have a moderator who will tell you how to introduce yourself and make an efficient networking session. Each round will last around 10 minutes, and we will have 2 as the time unfortunately doesn't allow us to have more than 2. Stefan, can you please prepare the breakout rooms?
Yeah, just 1 second, and I will let you know when it's ready.
Very informative session today.
It was a pleasure. Rizwan, great presentation. Thank you.
Hey, Mel, it was very nice presenting with you together. And I guess to answer to your question, why we didn't think of that before, I think we did, all of us, we did. We just didn't foresee it will come to such on a short notice, you know, to move to online. If you had asked me 1 year ago, 1.5 years ago, I wouldn't have predicted this pandemic at all. So I think caught everybody by surprise. So I think this was the main trigger, and the fact that we already have some technologies, we have, you know, the options to go online, to have these online events, everything. So I think proves that we thought of them. So we were kind of prepared without knowing. So we'll see what's next.
I also think that we're in our comfort zones as businesses, you know. I mean,
sure.
If my sales are increasing, or if I'm making profits, selling how much I sell, why should I reinvent myself?
Yeah,
but,
sure.
You know, I called it the customer's problem, the consumer's problem. The problems were always there. You know, consumers want time, they want more free time, they want more flexibility in shopping, they want more flexibility, or they want to see more products. So I think the needs were always there, but we as businesses being our comfort zone, we didn't actually take them into consideration. This is why the boom, the shift to online shopping happened so rapidly.
Yeah.
You also mentioned about meetings. Now you're having meetings on 3 continents, or even, I don't know, 5 continents without the need to travel. Again, the technology was always there, but some VPs, some presidents considered that having everyone in the room was better than accepting online conferences. You know.
For sure, I think we cannot continue for forever, but let's see how we're going to move forward.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. That's right now. Thanks. Great to see you guys. Thanks for your presentations. Really enjoyed them. I certainly agree that you know, although we've become more productive in many respects and become very dependent on some of this technology to connect one another and business partners, I hope it doesn't continue forever like this, because I do miss meeting everybody face to face. And I think no matter what your business is, even if you're distributing commodities which are identical to millions and millions of people, at least to start that process, you need to have a face-to-face meeting where you have trust and understanding. And this is, we spoke about in one of the breakout groups, we spoke about this. And but I think there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I think the tunnel's shorter now. So with all the great vaccination work all the countries are doing, I think we should be positive and look forward to better times, but clearly with a lot of lessons learned about how to be efficient in many ways. So let's take it as a positive if there is something positive of COVID.
Yeah,
like with anything in life, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm waiting for having that lunch together, James.
Yeah,
Once we see
I'm getting quite hungry, as well. I know I can't do it a couple of times.
We're postponing to 1 year now.
Sorry. Yesterday they announced on the radio that tomorrow they might be lifting the restriction to 300 people per gathering.
Okay.
So we should look at our next event offline, face to face.
Do the galleries have restaurants?
Well, I mean, we can organize an event anywhere. Basically, what the government wants to do is sort of increase the number of people that can gather in one place to 300. So, yeah, up to now has been, I think, 50% that you can bring together at an event. But increasing the number of participants at an event to 300, I think it should allow us to go back to meeting offline again.
Yeah, I mean, what's the difference between 300 and an unlimited number? I mean, I can't really see the logic, but anyway, it's good news that they're moving towards that.
Rate, I guess.
I get, depends how big the room is in concentration and how close you get to people and all those obvious things. But eating in a restaurant, I would think, was already higher risk than
It's safe over lunch, James. Don't worry.
I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
Sorry, Neil, I interrupted you.
No, to say well done, but to your point about vaccinations, I know with our friends in the Italian chamber, we have subscribed to the inter-chamber statement on supporting vaccination. And so if you have people who haven't been, who are doubtful about this, please tell them this is the way forward to get out of this current situation. Okay, we've all discovered how e-commerce and virtual reality and AI works, but now let's get on to other things.
Yeah. Well, I just got my second shot yesterday, so I was a bit dizzy at the end of the day.
Mine's a week today. Right on.
Yeah.
So I think we probably sort of want to wind it up. Giovanni and your colleagues in the Italian chamber, very good to have you with us. Thank you very much indeed, and best regards to Roberto.
Thank you, Neil. Thank you very much for organizing together this wonderful webinar. Thank you, Alcamara, Razvan Butukaru, Anna Anastase, and all your staff. And I hope to organize another event maybe in this summer.
Mm-hmm.
Another event together.
It would be our pleasure, Giovanni. It would be our pleasure.
Thank you all.
Yeah, we can go to a pizza pasta restaurant. This would be great.
For sure.
we leave that expertise to you guys.
Pizza and wine, guys. Don't forget about the good wine. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I say from us, thank you again.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Razvan,
Thank you.
speakers.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.